Alright, I think I might actually be live. I had to make a last minute change over here. I was going to be using a webcam attached above my workspace so that I could actually see what I'm doing, but that didn't work out. So I'm just trying to get my computer set up here so that I can look at what's going on. Um, yeah, I haven't live streamed anything in a long time, so I gotta remember how the hell to actually do this stuff. So I think from this view I should be able to see if people comment or anything. So let me make the two people on here nauseous as I move the camera. Oh, morning Finland Trooper. Okay, cool. I can't see comments. Yay, this isn't horrible. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I think in my video talking about what I was going to do, I had mentioned that I might build the Piccolo kit instead. I actually did it yesterday as a test to make sure I could actually do this. And then the computer I had died this morning. So that test was completely useless. I'm going to build this kit this morning. This is the YMS-11 Act Zaku Kycilia's forces, 1/144th Gunpla kit. I did go ahead and already um, unpack everything because I didn't want to deal with opening a bunch of plastic bags. The thing I did notice is that these are like almost entirely black or very dark gray pieces. So this is going to be fun to keep track of what's what. Alright. I could probably actually organize these in a way that wouldn't make me have to do everything whenever I want a piece, but I'm not going to do that because that would be smart. And now I've buried my tools underneath this stuff. Let's see if I can actually see what I'm doing if I hit this. Okay. That's a little bit... Well, no, that's just really... That's lagging. Okay. So hoping maybe I could actually make sure I'm actually on screen by using the monitor, but that's not going to help. So, I'll stop bitching about this and actually just do what I'm here to do. I was jokingly saying I should put together like a playlist of like YouTube copyright not infringing music to play in the background of this, just so that when I'm not talking, it's actually something going on. But yeah, I didn't actually do that. Probably would have been a good idea though. So it looks like we're starting off with a bunch of like really tiny pieces. This is supposed to be the main body of the figure. So I kind of got into building these kits. I think it was like over like Christmas last year. So it's kind of a recent obsession, but I've built quite a few at this point. Um, I don't know why I have been enjoying it so much. I think I just like building things in general, and it's a fairly quick and easy way to go from having a box of parts to having something. And you can spend an hour or two, sometimes a little more depending on the kit, and actually have a result. Plus, I mean, they're similar in quality. I wouldn't say they're quite on par, but they're very similar in quality to the Robot Spirits line from Bandai. Or at least some of the kits are, especially the newer kits. They're pretty nice quality wise, and I think that kind of helps. Basically they end up being cheaper action figures than what you normally get from an import figure. It's kind of why I wish I had waited on the Pacific Rim stuff from Uprising, because I probably should have just bought the kits. I probably would have enjoyed those at least a little more, because there would have at least been a fun activity associated with building them, as opposed to just kind of a disappointment of getting those figures out of the box. Plus, I've kind of realized that, for whatever reason, I think it's just because you have to build them anyway, that when I make a kit, it's less... I feel less bad about going and weathering them and everything. Yeah, I am going to go back and sand some of the pieces. I'm trying to just figure out how they all go together first, because I'm not going to bother sanding the stuff that faces the inside of the figure, just because it's a pain in the butt. So, yeah, I'm just kind of waiting to get an idea of how they go together before I sand anything. Now, it's probably the wrong way to do it, and I'm sure somebody would probably really disagree with me doing it that way, but whatever. Like, this piece I'm cutting now, I know is it's got to be an internal piece, because it's a double ball joint piece. So that's got to go inside. And I'm actually a little less concerned about perfection on these things, because they are supposed to be metal. With the Piccolo figure I was working on the other day, I was going a little crazy with sanding because I want it to look organic. I really shouldn't do things that cause razor blades to go and jump across my table. Sanding is like my least favorite thing ever, and it has become like something I've been doing on everything I've been working on lately. I'm working, it probably would have made a more interesting video, but it would be a lot slower work. I'm working on a replica of the gun from Blade Runner, and Yeah, that is a lot of sanding. It has just been a sanding nightmare. The other day, I was also using this Tamiya cement. It's supposed to, I guess, hold the pieces together better and actually like fuse them. It wasn't doing much of anything when I was using it. It really just, I don't know. I didn't see any benefit of using it. It actually made more of a mess than just assembling things by snapping them together. So I think I might skip that for today. It might just be that I wasn't using it properly, but yeah. Those in the correct orientation. There they are. I did it right. Yeah, I had parts on the Piccolo figure when I glued it that looked like he was just like spewing pus out of his joints, which I mean, I guess that could add an effect, but wasn't the effect I wanted. But I'm really looking forward to redoing that Piccolo or to doing another of those Piccolo kits. That was so much fun. If I realized it was going to be so much fun, I probably would have saved it for this stream. Careful there, Shark. People are gonna think you're gonna like start walking around with your colonial tiki torches or something. Yay! This is the most exciting live stream ever. Sanding. Um, Probably should should have thought of more things to talk about while I'm working on this. But then I keep trying to look for parts and I get distracted and I can't keep my train of thought going because that is yeah, me being dumb. Favorite mobile suits, the teddy bear picnic thing from original Mobile Suit Gundam. Man, you're gonna make me try to like think of actual names, and I know that you're just being a jerk because you know I can't remember the actual names, and I'm just gonna call them things that are not what they are. The Goof is definitely one of the ones that I've liked for a long time, especially in 8th MS Team. That fight between the Easy 8 and the Goof is just really amazing. And I need to get that new ground unit kit because that looks great. I need to order the parachute pack version too because I want it. For some reason, I keep getting these like early design Zaku kits. I don't know why. So I keep passing on the actual robot spirits, like standard Zaku one, but every time I see a kit, I don't even know if this is technically a Zaku 1. It looks like it's the Zaku 1, but yeah, I don't know. I just keep like obsessively buying them. And yet I don't have one that looks normal. I have a bunch that look like, like heavy cannon versions and all kinds of weird crap. I just probably need to just get myself a normal standard Zaku 1. D. Of course, it's D1, not D2. Where is D? Oh. I just like the evolution of the Zaku, just to see like it looked like this stupid, weird duck thing, and then it became something that looked like a slightly less stupid duck. I think that's why when I mean, granted, it was also what was I was exposed to first, but I think that's why I liked Gundam Wing so much when I first, was introduced to this stuff. Is that the Wing Gundams all have a lot more. I would say I feel like they have a lot more personality to them, and it kind of made it easier to gravitate towards the individual designs. I know some of the later stuff is like that as well. But I mean, a lot of the early stuff is literally just like, hey, let's make another version of Amuro's Gundam, and that'll be fun. All right. My favorite character is Ketchup. Wasn't that the guy from Pokemon? Wait, no. Oh, jeez. All right, let's try to like natural light and see if that just ruins everything. Hey, I might actually be able to see what I'm doing now. And speaking of ketchup, now Colonel Mustard has been angered. So my dog is gonna start barking at everything because I opened the window. Let's see. C6. I will say the guns in this kit look really cool. I can't wait to see what those turn out like. Yeah, my dog's named Colonel Mustard. So I put this together incorrectly. Let's see. What's up, buddy? You gonna bark at everything now that I'm live streaming? All right, and then that's pretty much the end of the upper torso. I just got the one last part to put on there. 22. And yeah, that's incredibly blurry, but there is the main torso. So, first part down. Now, looks like we're on to the head. I have a bad habit on these things of just like looking at the numbers and not looking at the picture of the part. And then realizing if I looked at the picture of the part, I would know that it is exactly this stupid little mouth breathy piece for it without having to like look over 20 different things. Are you trying to shame its physical standards there, chart? I mean, this is not cool. Oh, jeez. I'm just not even gonna go there with that one. Some of these diagrams they put on here are like the most useless thing ever. Okay, so it's just kind of a vague fit for this thing until you get to the next step. These rubbery pieces don't sand very well. This kind of sucks. E120. I can almost guarantee I'm going to be using some of those Gundam markers later on in this. I'm definitely planning to do just a really kind of dirty, grimy paint job on this thing. Make it look like it's seen some action. I have a new lacquer paint that I'm going to use for the Blade Runner gun. And I was kind of wanting to maybe test it on this, but I don't have a whole lot of the gunmetal color, so I'm kind of wary about using it. And the Mono Eyes I cannot do freehand. I just don't have the coordination to draw a circle. I mean, I'm sure I could probably make a stencil or something, but I might as well just use the damn sticker at that point. Any reviews I'm planning on... Wow, I'm doing this completely off camera, aren't I? Good for me. I am a genius. Any reviews I'm planning on... I'm working on, like I've said, the Blade Runner gun that I'm building. I'm working on a video for that. I haven't picked up a whole lot of just traditional, like, collectibles lately. I mean, it feels like I have, but I don't think I really have. I feel like NECA hasn't put out anything in forever that I've really been all that interested in. And I don't know. I mean, I got the new Godzilla figure from Monster Arts, but I didn't really have anything to say about it that I haven't said already. It's weird. I haven't like consciously tried to buy any Predator figures in a long time, and yet somehow I still haven't missed any of them. And now that Toys R Us is gone, I have to go to the FYE if I want to buy them in person, where I'm risking probably getting shot in the face 17 times. Oh yeah, Mecca has wonderful shipping prices. I will gladly pay those over and no, I can't even joke about that. That's yeah. Their shipping prices are really bad. Alright, I'm doing it. I'm using a sticker. But I'm just wondering, you said yeah, great. I'm gonna drop everything. You said there's an indent. There's no indent on this eye mold here. It is a pure flat piece. So yeah, I'm definitely using a sticker or a decal or whatever. I've dropped this piece like 17 times. I think I've referenced number 17 repeatedly for no good reason. Yeah, I kind of want to do this live stream mostly because I haven't had anything I've really felt I needed to review or really wanted to review lately. And I figured it was a way to make something without having to just, I don't know. Okay, so I got a choice. I could do the eye with the black around it, or I could just do the total pink eye. So, yeah, I'll let you guys pick. All two of you. Alright, the black eye as opposed to the pink eye. Got it. I'll get rid of the Worcestershire sauce. And that joke isn't like 70 years old. Alright. I was thinking it's going to look cooler, the ones with the black around it, and then I remember that it's a black cylinder it's going onto, or an almost black cylinder it's going onto. It never looks quite as cool as I'm expecting it to. This is a weird setup. It has like a little gear system inside. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like that. Usually it's just a one-to-one movement because, I mean, why would you need to do anything else? This actually has a little pinion gear inside of it. Oh, you could see that. Yeah, there's a little pinion in there that corresponds to a part inside the eyepiece. Weird. Unfortunately, it makes it a lot harder to put in place. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize the audio would be that bad. Okay, I can't put this on camera. I gotta look at it close up because I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, yeah. If I actually do it without trying to look at it from 50 feet away, it's not that hard. Okay, so yeah, more parts on his head. Yeah, I guess I think the mic on my phone is right on the side facing me, which I guess is probably good for when I'm away from it, but when I get close up, it probably isn't a good thing. Where is A2? There it is. All right. Okay. I just need the top of his head now. Where's part E? There it is. So you know all those people that like pay ridiculous amounts of money for the trays that you know you could use to house all the different sprues and everything, but they all seem like a waste of money until I have trays littered across my desk and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But I'm also one of those kinds of people that would like put them all in the tray when I started and then pull one out and be like, well, I'm just going to come back to this later in like 5 minutes, so I'm not going to put it back where it goes. I'm just going to set it down on the table and then I'd end up with the same stupid mess. Yeah, I actually saw one that was kind of cool because it doubled as both a sprue holder or whatever you call it, and I think it kind of looked like a base or something, like a hanger for a Gundam. So I guess if you weren't housing trays in it, you could put it on display. I like the way you're thinking. Just dump it all in a bucket and let I don't know, let something figure it out. Okay, that's kind of cool. I'll try to be quiet on the mic, but yeah, you turn the little thing on the bottom and the eye moves inside. It's weird because it goes the opposite direction you turn it. That's like one of the few Zaku's I've built in a while that you didn't have the option for the command fin. I know Damashi have the same feature, but I'm used to it being like a one-to-one turn, so that it's, you know, you turn the knob one way and the eye goes that same direction. I'm not used to it having a gear in there where it goes backwards. it's neat, but it's also kind of useless. I don't know why they had to put a gear in there and just make it overly complex. I'm not saying it needs a command fin on it. It's just weird to not have that option because so many of them do. Oh, is that the problem? Is that there's all the first gen stuff didn't have it, and then that's why they retired the first gens because nobody knew who was in command. As much as I love making these kits, I am fairly ignorant on most of the series. Um, all right. I love these leg joints here. You can actually like swing them back and forth. I think that's kind of neat. I think part of the other reason I like this is it kind of is. I know, like, I guess typical action figures aren't quite built like this, but it is kind of like an insight into how some of the mechanics could work. I think it's kind of neat to see and play with and understand. Keep thinking I'm gonna eventually get my 3D printer dialed in enough where I could actually make my own action figure. I would love to be able to do that. I know some people have made kind of just like blank human bodies, like action figures out of that, but I don't know. I'd want to do like a, I don't know how practical like a Monster Arts Kong or something would be, but something that is missing from my collection that I want. Um, Granted, I'd probably have to teach myself like ZBrush or something to be able to make that happen, but I think that would be worth it. I'm actually really disappointed that we didn't get a Monster Arts for Kong because that was such a freaking awesome movie. We needed one. And all we have is that Peter Jackson one, which, as much as I like the Peter Jackson one or liked it when it came out, it hasn't aged well, and it's not what I want it to be in terms of a Kong movie. Mech tabletop game, so it's nerd squared. It's the nerdy thing mixed with the even nerdier thing. I'm just kidding, but yeah. One thing's for sure, this is definitely going to be a very dark kit when it's done. There's a lot of dark pieces, but that's the lower torso that I keep dropping. So it's time to arm this Gundam. Yeah, sorry. Wow, I think it's like breaking the law of Gunpla. It's like telling me to add four parts together that are sequentially numbered on the same tree. That never happens. Man, I really wish I could switch back to my overhead view because I feel like I keep doing things off camera. Yeah, once I get the review of that Piccolo figure up, um, you'll see I have like a much better setup for this. But I guess I can't complain about it too much. But that laptop is just, I've had that laptop for years and years, and it'll work fine, and then one day it'll just decide that it can't take power anymore and will die. It died 3 times this morning. And get back to setting up the live stream, and then it would die again. Put my cell phone up where I have that webcam, except I feel like I just end up dropping the webcam on my head, and I mean it'll probably be more amusing than what I'm doing, but I don't think I'd particularly care for it. All right. Six. Yeah, it's a new auditory virus. I could just say laptop overheating and it melts down computers. It's my mutant power. If that was the case, I would have like so many free days at work. I would just say that and get out of all work for the day. There it is. After this kit, I'm definitely it's the ground Gundam and those new Leos that I'm going after. But yeah, I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for the Psycho Zaku. Words. I'm kind of worried a little bit because since this is a more recent obsession, it's one of those things that like you never notice what stores carry this stuff until you so you're looking for it. I'm kind of terrified that I'm gonna just find like way too much Gunpla stuff at Dragon Con this year. I don't remember ever seeing it there, but I feel like it has to be there because it's Dragon Con. And I feel like there would be a lot of people that would buy that stuff. Dragon Con's going to be terrifying this year for a variety of reasons. I'm already at the point where I'm like worried about, what I'm gonna budget for Dragon Con just because I'm going to Colorado the week after now. So it's gonna be like a vacation and then another vacation and yeah, basically just gonna use all of my time off at work in the span of like a week and a half. Well, that's not really true because I have more time off than that, but yeah, I'm using a lot of time off in a very short amount of time. That would be like the ultimate thing at a convention, just to have a booth where you could challenge famous people to like fights. I mean, I'm sure the insurance would be ridiculous on that, but could you imagine like I don't know, having people like fight like the Green Ranger and fucking like Lou Ferrigno or something just in the middle of a con? Could be kind of amazing. I don't know if that's much of a one-time only opportunity. Don't you just have to insult one of his movies like 3 times in the mirror and then he appears to challenge you to a duel? I was really hoping he would like show up when I went to go see Rampage to fight everybody who was going into the theater. Is he still making movies? Like, I haven't heard his name come up in terms of actually making anything in a long time, but I mean, who actually cares? Gotta love that articulation, man. Look at that. The arm folds completely in on itself. Why is that so hard to do on other action figures? he's been like trying to GoFundMe another movie. That's just, I don't know. People abuse GoFundMe to begin with, but damn, that's just sinking pretty low. You're trying to fund one of his movies. Norse Press, I'm sure people would do it just because it's funny. I really keep wondering lately if we're ever going to get a chance to see, like, if John Carpenter's actually going to make another movie before the end of his time or whatever. Because I don't think he's made anything since, what was it, The Ward? I never saw that one, but the more I go back through his movies, the more I'm like, there need to be more of these. Even though I haven't seen all of them that exist yet, I feel like there needs to be more. I mean, I guess he's scoring the new Halloween. Hopefully it'll be worthy of that. I think Halloween is this year. I think it's this fall. And we're supposed to have a trailer, I think, in the next like month or so. I think they said June, which would be awesome. Yeah, I didn't see My Soul to Take, but that is not. I almost don't want to see it. And I mean, I have the misfortune of having been dragged to that Wes Craven like violin movie when it was in theaters. So like I've seen some pretty low points in Craven's career, but I don't know if I want to see My Soul to Take just because it is him trying to do horror, and I've heard it doesn't go well. Yeah, I'm hoping that Mezco, since they have these rights, are gonna do some cool stuff with upcoming movies. Like I really hope that they'll do other versions of Myers, or at least like the new version. I mean, I'd love to see them do like a Halloween 2 and just some of the other, more interesting designs. Even the Rob Zombie one. I mean, I'm a fan of the Rob Zombie design. I know it's polarizing, but oh yeah, yeah. Those inferior movies that Craven very often ripped off. I mean, yeah. Because didn't Serpent in the Rainbow just actually Serpent in the Rainbow was just a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with voodoo in it. But yeah, I really hope Mezco gets in and does the new Myers, even though I have no clue what it really looks like yet. Um, I keep saying I really hope they do a Hellboy in that 1/6 line. I'm not. It's another thing. I'm not very familiar with Hellboy, except for like the two Ron Perlman movies. But I would love to see a really cool new version of that. I'd love to see Cinema of Fear come back. I mean, the 112 I think is where it's most likely to happen. But I had some. I don't know if to call it nostalgia, but I have some love for that Cinema of Fear, like how goofy some of it looked, and I don't know. Now it's easy to say that in terms of accurate sculpts in that scale, NECA kind of rules the kingdom on that one. I think that's part of why Mezco did the 112 is just because it was, you know, it was something they could carve their own section of the world out in. But I don't know, the Cinema Fear stuff, like that Part 6 Jason, I still can't say I fully think it's, you know, I still think the NECA one isn't quite as good. And I know it's technically better, but I really think it like lacks some weird charm that that Mezco one has. Well, that too. It does have that going for it. The legs don't do anything. But I also had a hell of a lot less figures fall off my shelf when they were Mezco. Until my psycho downstairs neighbor at the time when I was collecting those would like hit her ceiling with a broom because she thought she heard somebody sneeze upstairs. Remember when NECA was fun? Um, yeah, probably. I don't mean to be so like negative on NECA. I feel like I have been lately, but I think it comes from like me defending them for quite a while, and then eventually just getting to the point where I'm like, you know what? What people are saying is kind of true. I'm just kind of done defending them while they keep letting me down. uh, you know, I haven't messed with that figure in a long time. Can he not hold the spear in two hands? I thought he had like a second hand, but I thought it was kind of a useless second hand. I can't even remember now. Ugh. I have a real fear with that new the part 5 dream sequence Jason they're doing. I'm really afraid that they're not going to match the color properly and we're going to end up with a part 4 Jason like that secondary arm that's supposed to be the cut version. Like I feel like that's not going to look right when you put it on the new the old figure. That's one thing NECA really, I feel like they should step their game up on in general is the hand selection. Like, I really think that we need to get, you know, you get Jason, you need two grabbing hands. You know, I think every hand should be able to hold every weapon, basically. And then you really should have, like, some just, like, grasping hands where they could look like they're attacking counselors or whatever. There's just not quite enough variety of poses you could do with him. I mean, I'll just say that Cinema of Fear had the issue where they were putting out hands that were, um, like the holes in the hands were square. I mean, they had a good grip on what they were holding, but it did look a little goofy. Well, I mean, yeah, though, if you spend, you know, 20, 30 bucks on a figure, you want it to be able to do what it's supposed to do. You're not wrong for being annoyed. I don't know. I still want NECA to finish out their run of Jasons at least, especially since it doesn't look like we're getting another one anytime soon. I would still really like them to get to part 8 at least. Like, I don't know. Like, I know Randy kind of has his whole mentality of if I didn't like it, it's not worth having a figure of. But I part eight's become kind of a cult classic over the years. At least I feel like I'm not the only idiot who likes it these days. I could be wrong, but I think there's enough people that would actually buy that. Even like I guess they kind of like stopped cold on making. Well, they made that part 2 Freddy. I guess I never picked that one up because I didn't really see the point of it. I didn't need those. I didn't need the dogs with Meryl Streep faces or whatever. But they never really finished the Nightmare line either, did they? But yeah, the mask lifting scene in part 8 is like the best thing. That and Kane beating down Ken Kersinger, which was only funny, later. But granted, I'd already seen Freddy versus Jason. I think by the time I saw part 8. Yeah, Negan did Ultimate 1 and 3, but I think they did more in the other line. They did the like the single carded. They did a few from Freddy's Dead and Dream Child. I'm trying to think if they did beyond that. No, they did the New Nightmare. Okay, maybe they did. Uh, maybe they did finish Freddy outside of Freddy versus Jason. I think Freddy versus Jason just might be the one piece they never did. Which I mean, they did a Freddy versus Jason back when that movie came out, but like they needed to do a real new Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, that chest gimmick never worked as well as they seemed to think it did. They did I can't talk all of a sudden. They did the same thing with the T1000. They had to swap out torso, and it never really looked that good. Did they ever do a Freddy with the sunglasses? Like from part 4? I don't remember. I don't know. NECA also, I mean, I'm not really digging the cloth figures, and they seem to be wanting to do those more than anything else lately, which also kind of sucks for me. Um, I mean, the Chuckies were awesome because they were 6 scale, and I have a lot of other 6 scale stuff. Um, but I don't know. I really like the fact they're doing the fog, but it's in a scale that doesn't fit in with everything else. I mean, I think that's a lot of the root of it for me is that they basically swapped scales, so now I have to rebuy everything, but they're also still making the old scale. And yeah, the Mezco one, I mean, that's what it should have been, right? It should have been something along those lines and been like a tiny hot toy. Because I mean, that was what people branded NECA as for a long time, was like the poor man's hot toy. Well, the cloth figures are they're like 8 inches tall as opposed to 7. I know the NECA figures are slowly creeping up in height. Um, like if you compare a current NECA figure to like an old McFarlane or even a Cinema of Fear, like they are way bigger than they used to be because they used to all scale pretty well together. I think McFarlane was also a little small. Not yet. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for them to just make a total change and just confuse everybody. The NECA Universe reboot. That'd be terrifying. I keep waiting for, like, I know some people tease that they were making something of the sort, but like, I'm really disappointed that we haven't seen more cult movies get some resurgence with like smaller toy companies and stuff. Like, I don't know. There's somebody showed off, I think at Comic Con last year, that they were gonna make a some figures based on the Thing, which nobody has done since like Soda Toys, but I don't think those ever manifested. I know the 6 scale McCready got canceled, but I don't know. I don't think anything else ever really got announced, as far as I heard. I kind of just want a company to go and just make a John Carpenter toy line. That's what I really want. Just cover everything. Give us the first 2 Halloweens. Give us the Thing. 1/18th scale? Like, do you just take out a magnifying glass to be your collection? Um, there was the McFarlane Escape from LA figure. It looked like crap. There's a comic shop in Orlando that I go to fairly regularly, and they have, I think it's the, I forget if it was Sideshow or Hot Toys, but the Snake Plissken figure, and I'm always kind of tempted to buy it. I always forget that the old what was NECA's old I can't remember what NECA's old line was called. Man, this is bad. The line they used to release all the horror figures in. Um, but I I always forget that they did some characters that were more action, like the John McClane that was like a flaming bag of garbage. Cult classics, yeah, that's. How could I forget that? Which is weird because like Die Hard is not a cult classic, but I mean I guess some of the other things maybe weren't either. Like I mean in terms of the movie itself. My favorite Ultimate figure NECA's put out. I'm trying to think what they've put out. Probably the Chucky. The Chucky's probably the best Ultimate figure of the bunch. NECA wants me to forget when they were creative. Oh man, this is This has just turned into a therapy session for NECA Collectors Anonymous. The worst Ultimate figure is the Jason. I don't care which one, the part 3 or 4, where it's just like, here's all that stuff you already bought. Buy it again, you bitch. The Jason was um it was just like a mesh of the non-battle damage and battle damage figures stuck together, so some of the things didn't make any sense on it. Like it had parts that were bloody and parts that weren't bloody. So it was just a confusing piece of crap. I think that's why I like the Chucky, because it was an original figure with original accessories and covered what, 4 movies worth of Chucky. The Randy works in strange ways. Ain't that the truth? Yes. Yes, indeed. I don't know. Um, I mean, he's made some correct calls that, like, nobody would have bought RoboCop remake figures. That he probably had a point there. I don't think anybody would have bought RoboCop remake figures. But, there are some other things that he's completely just dismissed, and then yeah, that shouldn't happen. I like that Guillermo del Toro. I have to say, I really want that figure. I think if I try to get my Comic Con exclusives this year, I am going to go for the del Toro and the Turtles. The Turtles mostly, well, I like the Turtles. I think they're cool looking, but a lot of that comes from the fact that I want. At this point, I'm kind of like all in on the exclusive Turtles, so I might as well keep going. And I'm kind of wondering, because they did that thing with. Well, I guess I never got the video game Turtles because I really didn't care. But I'm kind of wondering if they're going to put out a set of like Shredder and the Foot Clan at some other convention. Because it seems like kind of a shame to not put those out where they've done it for the other lines. Yeah, I know. I'm just feeding into the machine. I mean, I will say though that the turtles do look cool. I'm afraid they're going to be really fragile. I don't know why. Just looking at those pictures, I feel like they're just going to shatter when you touch them. But uh, yeah, they still look really neat. The ones I got the ones from last year, and they were okay in terms of QC. Um, I want to say there was something wrong with the Krang that I got, but it wasn't bad enough that I like tried to return it. But granted, I think people who were trying to return it had no luck or very little luck, or were just told condescending things. So it's possible I just didn't bother trying. Yeah, I have the bootleg of the comic turtles. I got them fairly inexpensively from China. I got the ones that actually have the correct uh, bandana color, the red bandanas. So I'm happy enough with those. Oh, the Guillermo del Toro figure itself is a Comic Con exclusive. It's like the Migo style del Toro. I'm still waiting for the damn Fawn and Pale Man and Brain Damage Kid to come out. But I don't think those have ever actually been released, which sucks. I'm wondering now, like, with Turtles rebooting yet again, how much further that, I don't know. Like, because Playmates had that cool moment for a little bit where they were trying to make cool figures, but yeah, they've announced all of the SDCC stuff for this year. There is the Shane Black figure from Predator, the Del Toro, because they freaking own Chia Pets for some goddamn reason. There's a Chia Groot. Um, there's no Alien figure. The Turtles. Oh, they're releasing like some like you could buy the Turtles as a set of the 4 figures, or you could also buy them with a ridiculously huge diorama of the city, which just seems like I don't know who's gonna have room for that, but it's not me. I think that might be it. I don't think there's a ridiculous amount this year. They're doing pre-orders, which is weird. They're like pre-order next week, and then they'll ship it, I guess, maybe around the time of Comic Con, as opposed to like trying to take orders during Comic Con. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully, it doesn't. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be like people ordering that are actually going to Comic Con, as well as the people who are at home, and it's going to end up being a complete cluster. Like people are going to order so they don't have to go there during the con. But hey, at least NECA makes that stuff available to us non SDCC people, and it's not like Bandai where I have to go to like Washington D.C. or Dallas or something if I want that stupid Vegito figure. I was really hoping that would come at least to Atlanta, because I've got a friend in Atlanta I could probably bribe to go. At least NECA is as bad as Funko. When does NECA get their own Netflix documentary? Because Funko has one. Yeah, it's called like Making Fun, I think. It's on there. It's on a Netflix. I was looking at the trending or the popular section the other day, and it was on there. It's kind of weird. I'm not gonna watch it, but it's on there. Um, Sketchy Gamer favorite Ultimate figure. I think I said that earlier was the Chucky that they did recently because it's actually all new stuff. Speaking of making zero effort for Funko, how did they get the rights for uh, Mad Max? Because they're gonna do those like what 6 or 7 inch figures like the Game of Thrones ones. Funko also has the same exclusives. They flock something, then metallic, or I don't know what you call metallicing something, whatever that word should be, figured out. Uh, they also do the same exclusives. It just is what figure they pull out of the clearance aisle to do it on. Um, I guess I could do the Chucky figure. I probably should do a video on my custom Chuckies. The ones that were the 1/6 scale ones, the cloth ones. But I could probably just do like a NECA Chucky rundown video. Because those are some of the more solid releases they've put out lately. Like the cloth Chuckies, I ended up with like 4 of them. Or, yeah, I think 4 of them. I had the exclusive one from Fright Rags, or Scream Factory, not Fright Rags. And then I have the 3 of the normal ones. One I kept stock, and the other 2 I made into the characters from Cult. Which, if you haven't seen Cult of Chucky, I recommend that movie. I don't know if most people would, but I do. I'm surprised you're still using your Funko-themed user account. Because I thought you'd abandoned that like long ago. I had fun with Funko when they were new. When they just put out those first few horror figures, I was really excited. Like, it's not normally, an aesthetic I would go after, I think. But just having a few, classic horror characters, I was like, oh, this is neat. And then they put out a few more, and I was like, okay, this is neat. And then they put out everything, and I'm like, oh, this is just a waste of my money, $10 at a time. The Ghostbusters I thought were neat. They put out some decent ones. They put out some ones still that I'm like tempted. I mean, I got the Godzilla one. I still kind of look at the Kong figure. The new Del Toro stuff is tempting until I remember that NECA is supposed to be making some. That would be probably better to buy. Yes, we do need a. They did Iron Maiden figures from Funko? Did I completely miss them making Iron Maiden stuff? Because if they made Iron Maiden, I might have to own it. I was actually like considering the Metallica pops up until the point where I realized they put Trujillo in there. They didn't just like. I mean, at least put Jason Newsted in there. I don't know. They're all in Justice for All era except for Newsted, or except for Trujillo. Um, yeah, I'm so out of touch with like pops. I didn't even know there was a Shaun of the Dead one. It's probably old enough that I should know about it. And yeah, we do need an SDCC Randy. I think I said that already. That's it. They can personalize the Randy figure. Everybody gets their own Twitter account name on his phone as a blocked account. I like it. We should make this happen. I will say, I mean, I feel like my default mode is to defend NECA even when I don't want to. But as much as Randy has his moments, can we all just be thankful that he's not Todd McFarlane, who thinks articulation is a concept that boggles the mind and nobody could ever figure out how to make that work? Oh, jeez. You guys are killing me. Well, every Toy Fair, I see that, like, Shartimus interview with McFarlane, and every time I'm just like, this is terrifying. This man makes action figures and doesn't understand how action figures work. The thing that irks me with Iron Maiden stuff is for all the weird versions of Eddie we've gotten over the years, like, have we ever gotten a good, like, Number of the Beast version of Eddie? Because I don't remember ever seeing one. And we've gotten like 80 different versions of the Killers version and the Trooper version, but I don't know. I feel like Number of the Beast should be on like the short list of Eddies to make. They could make an Ultimate Eddie, and they could have the puppet hanging down from his hands, and the devil, and all that. No, Dan Aykroyd's not going to be an asylum for burnouts. He's going to just be like stored in Area 51. I mean, you heard the whole thing, like his TV show was canceled because the Men in Black showed up, right? Yeah, I specifically want I want the accessory with the killer's version. I want him to have or with the Number of the Beast version. I want him to have the puppet strings and all that. Apparently, live streaming is killing my phone's battery. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a charger. I apologize if I shake the screen all over here for a second because I gotta move things. All right. Necka's cult crazies. That could be an interesting line. uh, did Doug Walker actually go crazy? Because from what I've heard, he's just a puppet. He's in the same like Chinese death camp that my friend is in. Actually, out of context, that makes no damn sense. I have a friend who went on a Chinese TV show, and I'm not totally convinced he's ever come back. I wouldn't doubt that he's making Metal Gear, but honestly, I mean, I think that's where we need to go. Nukes are too scary. We just need to focus on more entertaining forms of war. And we should make the politicians pilot the mechs, because that would probably be a bit of a deterrent. Oh yeah, I am all for the nanotech technology. I think we need that like yesterday. I mean, Japan can send the teenagers because that seems to be what they're most comfortable with, or the psychics, like the mid '90s children. Why why was everybody obsessed with psychics in the like the mid to early 90s. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I feel like every TV show had a damn Psychic Kid on it. Was this like a Stephen King thing, or I don't know. Yeah, I would be down for 1/12 scale ghost figures. That would definitely be something I would buy a lot of. I don't think it's happening. It needs to happen. Unfortunately, right now they'd probably make the Cardinal, and I wouldn't be quite so excited about that. Finland, I think if assuming your comments about Maiden and stuff, if you're probably coming from it from an actual like heavy metal loving perspective, you might be a little disappointed, unfortunately. It's definitely a bit more of a pop album. Dude, you joke, but that what is it, 10-second songs did that cover of Take On Me. That was actually kind of entertaining. And yeah, don't let me deter you from like listening to it. I mean, I don't mean to like be like, here, you shouldn't listen to it because I don't love it as much as their other stuff. Definitely like check it out, but I don't know. I had higher expectations than were delivered on, so maybe by lower your expectations, you might enjoy it better. Well, you try to say that the load and reload era of Metallica wasn't the band's finest hour. There needs to be a Vic Rattlehead figure. It seems like so easy to do. I thought about making a 1/6 scale version because there's a company that makes like these skeleton figures that are pretty nicely detailed. And I was just kind of thinking, like, okay, you just take one of those heads and stick it on a body and, put together all the rest of the crap on it. It was a pretty easy custom. The hardest part would be getting the chains and everything on it. I don't know. Maybe it's not Christian enough for Dave Mustaine to make toys. Oh God, no! I do not want Manowar action figures. No, I mean they already made a Masters of the Universe line. I think you could just use those in place of it. But I mean, I wish there was more reason to make like heavy metal action figures. I would love like a King Diamond figure, or some of the other. I don't know. I guess they're making that Scott Ian figure. I don't know if I really need a Scott Ian figure. I love Anthrax, but those horror Masters of the Universe figures, those were weird. I don't know if I'd want to buy one, but if I saw one in person, I feel like I would buy it just because it existed. I assume those aren't going to be something you could buy in a store, though. Like those are going to have to be like an online purchase. But what a weird concept. Oh, cool. They look exactly the same. That's very helpful. I somehow wouldn't doubt that Randy is a juggalo. That that would make a lot of sense. Except for the fact that it would confuse me as to why he hasn't made more Kane Hodder era Jason figures. You think they would, they'd be in the club together and cranking out that shit. Do the Juggalos ever fight the Goths? Because I would watch that. It needs to be like a pay-per-view event. The insane Randy posse. Oh yeah, the part 7 that's totally in scale with the other figures and is of the highest quality and accuracy. Because the gloves were a total thing in that movie. It's bad when the old Sideshow figure is probably a better representation of that character. I think you just made a complete through line on that. NECA has never put like anything magnetic on their figures because they don't understand how it works. It's not just that that figure can't stand without his stand, it's the stand needs to be propped up as well to help the figure stand. Like I had to put a piece of paper underneath that stand or a piece of cardboard to like make it lean a little more forward, or else the figure would just topple over backwards. Part 2 Freddy had magnets in it? I think what's really going to happen is they're just waiting to give us a new part 7 because they're going to give us a version of him where he's like overgrown and like moss and shit from being at the bottom of the lake. So you're going to have to buy their accompanying chia pet to go with it. And you have to grow your own Jason goo. Oh, I didn't get the ultimate part 2 Freddy. I just had the old one. So I don't know about this fancy flame effect shit. I think we just need more effects in general. I don't even display them half the time, but I like having the option to. Just fire effects and miniature buildings and diorama bits and things. Like, I just said I don't have the space to put that stupid turtle building. But of all the things they make, why turtles? Why not, give us a Texas Chainsaw house or something like that? Didn't they also buy the clapper? Wasn't that the other thing they bought in that deal? Like, and that could be some cool technology to put into their prop replicas, maybe. Oh man, Texas Chainsaw 2 needs a lot more love than it ever gets. I mean, I know they made those cloth figures from part 2 and part 3. I never picked up that the Nubbins pack, which I kind of want to, but like I said, I just don't care for that style. So it is kind of, you know, it's depressing getting a figure you want in a style that sucks ass. But Texas Chainsaw, the Mezco. Speaking of like the Cinema of Fear stuff, that Mezco Part 2 Leatherface is a really nicely done figure. It's way too expensive now, but it is a nice figure. Yeah, it's weird. It's like NECA realized that that stuff that everybody keeps asking for is stuff that people actually want. It's kind of strange. Oh yeah, that Leatherface had so much bloody goodness. It was phenomenal. And I don't know, I love that NECA or Mezco would give us the accessories that were um, like basically like adding characters to the set. Like with that one, they had the the radio station manager's face, or I think it was supposed to be his face, in there, and then some of the other like the Part 6 Jason had that one counselor's head. They've had a lot of just like other characters thrown in the mix, so that you felt like you had victims. Oh, cool! I forgot to add in a piece. Huh. Go me. I will admit, some of the Mezco ones, like they were really lacking in things, like especially that third series they put out, um, like the Hitchhiker and the part or the Jason Goes to Hell Jason, like those were kind of lame. I don't even know what you're talking about. Emily Browning with what? Who is that? What is that? Should I know? I probably don't want to. The chick from Nightmare 4. It's funny because when I reviewed that, people were seemed fairly upset that I was negative about it because how often do we ever get a victim in that line? It's just that's not the victim I want. That's just kind of useless. The American God stuff. I watched one episode of that show. I loved the book when I read it, but I could not get into the show. Then again, I feel like I just can't like so many series now where just everything's trying to be Game of Thrones, and I just don't have the patience for all of it. Okay, I mean that's a fair point. I don't think Nancy makes a particularly intriguing action figure. I can see like a Tommy Jarvis kind of character being cool. Um, just because like the adult Part 6 Tommy Jarvis, just because you can give him some weapons and stuff. I mean Nancy, I mean, what's the best you could give her? Like some booby trap stuff. That guy really should have gotten rights to make some of those things from the game. I could see that being like a Comic Con pack. It's so weird what a strange like resurgence that game has given Friday the 13th. I feel like it was better for the series than like any new movie could have been, which is kind of sad. Savini Jason should have happened. I mean, that's really dumb that it never happened. And I think they would have done okay even if they'd been able to do the Mortal Kombat Jason when that came out. I think a limited run of those would have sold decently well. Um, but no. Yeah, but Savini Jason, if you did that right with a lot of like translucent parts in it, that would be an amazing figure. What I'm really worried about, like seeing the way like Trick or Treat Studios is doing things, I'm really worried NECA's going to get to the point where they're going to start crowdsourcing or crowdfunding figures. Like it's like, oh, you really want this figure? Give us 3 times what it's worth up front, and we'll get it to you in 3 years. I mean, I did go in on that Trick or Treat Studios Chucky, just because that's something I've really been wanting for a while. Um, but even that, I'm kind of nervous about because I'm afraid they're going to go and be like, hey, now that this has been successful, we're going to do a Kickstarter for one with the actual Chucky face and not the good guy doll face. So I'm just going to be back in the same boat again. It's a little worrisome to me. But I guess we will see. That Burning Godzilla was not good. The 54 was decent, though. You know, I thought, like, Marvel Select had this going thing where it was like they put out a symbiote figure every year and, like, a Marvel Zombies figure every year. Or at least it seemed they were going that direction. And then they didn't keep up with it, which sucks. That Zombie Sabretooth was really solid. Um, and I was really hoping they had shown, like, you know, they had statues of Kingpin and Mysterio, and they were both really, really cool designs. So I was really hoping we get an action figure of those. I think Mysterio might have been kind of hard to do as a figure because I think it relied a lot on like translucent gimmicks and stuff. But Marvel Select has gotten so much better than they used to be. They really like. I didn't check out like I mean, it's Diamond Select in general. I guess it depends on what property it is. Marvel they treat really well. Um, some of the other stuff doesn't seem to be as good, but you know, like they never gave the Universal horror stuff the same treatment they gave the Marvel stuff. But I could clearly understand why you wouldn't invest the same way into something like that that has a very limited appeal. Yeah, I actually considered the Lady Deadpool, and then I realized that I like don't know anything about the character and don't particularly care about that character, but it just looked like a cool figure. I was really hoping like after we got the Carnage that they would go and do like a I don't know, do a new Anti Venom or do a some of the ones from the oh geez, what the hell is that? I can't think of the name. The Lethal Protector series. I think that's when they introduced a lot of the new symbiotes in there. I was hoping they'd do a lot of stuff like that. Oh, hope I got D2 instead of E2. I might actually have the parts I need on it. When Avengers came out, I remember being like really excited to get that Hulk that Diamond Select put out because that thing was really really nicely done. It scaled pretty well with the Legends. I mean, I haven't checked out their newer ones, but I would assume that those look even better now that Hulk looks better. And even I've seen a lot of people buying that Thanos that they just came out with and using it as a movie Thanos, even though it's not like accurate in the least. But it has something to it that kind of reminds me of the movie one a little bit, and I think people are just kind of going with it. Though I did see that Marvel Legends already like announced that they're doing a single or a 3-pack release that includes like Thanos, Iron Man, and I think Doctor Strange or something like that. So just kind of like that is I don't know. It seems like a slap in the face to the people who bought that wave for the Build-A-Figure. Yeah, I liked everything about that Gladiator Hulk design. That was really, I don't know, everything about Ragnarok. Honestly, I was really pleased with. Outside of the fact that like most of the characters basically talked with like the same attitude. I don't know what you'd call that. The same tone. Um, I don't know. Like I liked the jokes. I liked the style of it, but it is kind of weird that everybody has the same style of jokes in that movie. It's clearly just the director talking. I kind of went down the dark path and picked up a few Marvel Legends lately. I've kind of just been going with ones that are movie based or ones that are X Men. Unfortunately, that seems to be a lot of them right now. Um, so it's been kind of like, okay, you gotta calm down on this. But there's some decent ones. I took the Ragnarok 2-pack Thor, the one that came with Valkyrie, and I repainted it. I gave him, I repainted his eye, let's just say, and then I did some weathering on him, and just like a little bit of wash. It was just a what's that stuff? Sitting right here, Citadel. The Citadel paints. I got some of their washes, and I gave him like a brown wash over most of that figure, and it looks like 800 times more like Chris Hemsworth with just a wash over top of it. It's kind of sad. Like you think, you know, Marvel Legends could spare a little more on the figures and just really bring out a sculpt that doesn't shine through in their paint. I feel like a lot of toy companies lately seem to be scared to weather their stuff, though. See, I think like the trick with Marvel Legends collecting is if you're into like the movies or you're into um, the comics themselves. Like if you have a friend that's very much the opposite and wants the same things, you could probably like make some good trades or whatever. But they really don't like you to be able to pick and choose waves based on character choices. Like logically, it seems. Um, Logically, it seems that they, I don't know, like they should. Oh, why can't I think of words all of a sudden? Oh, like you should have waves that are all just human characters, or waves that are all not human characters, movie characters, and waves that are all comic characters. But I get why they would want to try to cross pollinate those to get more money. Oh yeah, those figure arts figures are beautiful. Figure arts is really stepped up on that stuff. I feel like unfortunately, like them stepping up on the Marvel stuff has kind of caused a major slowdown with the more Japanese properties that I enjoy picking up, like the Dragon Ball and the especially the Godzilla stuff or kaiju stuff. But I feel like Marvel Legends are kind of like junk food. Like you kind of just get a lot of them, and you don't have to spend a whole lot, and they go down easy enough. But then if you want something that's actually good, you got to fork over the cash for it. I'm really hyped about that the new Gamera figure though. That Revenge of Iris figure. It looks so sweet. I heard it's like gigantic though, so I'm a little worried that it's just gonna like tower over the rest of my Gamera figures, and my Gamera shelf's already pretty packed. But I will find space for it because it definitely looks worth it. Let's say if you're trying to collect Gamera figures, it is probably like, in terms of at least kaiju figures, the most inconsistently sized line of characters because those Revoltech ones are really short, and then like you have the Figure Arts one and the Chigokin one that are both about 7 inches tall, I think, and then this new one's supposed to be like 8 or 9. Maybe I need to take a closer look at it. It's really, the face looks goofy on it. I was just looking at that glowing fist of doom, and I was like, that is badass. I wish they'd give us a good Gauss figure. I don't think it's ever gonna happen because they seem to not like doing anything outside of like primary characters lately. But really need a nice new Gauss. It's really weird is that they were supposed to do a Revoltech Gamera 3 figure. And, like, they showed prototypes of it and all this stuff, and then nothing became of it. I hate to say it, but the new Monster Arts Godzilla, like, it's a fine figure, but when I got it out of the package, I was planning to film a video on it, and I had like nothing to say about it. It's so much like what we've gotten before that I just didn't feel like there was anything original to talk about with it. And it doesn't make it bad. It just kind of boring. There's another one of those cases. Like I said, I really want them to go back and do more non-Godzilla stuff. Like every line seems to get bogged down in that outside of the superheroes. The Ultraman stuff. You just keep cranking out Ultramen. The Dragon Ball line. You just keep cranking out more Gokus. I mean, even they put out Goku Black. It's not technically Goku, but it is also technically Goku. But I really want, they started with the GMK stuff, or they did the GMK Godzilla. I would love to see them go back and at least do the Mothra in there. Maybe some of the other characters too. I feel like Ghidorah's asking too much, which is sad. We need a lot more Ghidorahs. They have not made a Jet Jaguar. That needs to happen. I want one very badly. I actually started trying to make one and realized that I can't sculpt like hard edge shapes that I would need to make that. I wasn't having a very easy time of it. They really don't want to do the Showa era stuff either. They really, I don't know what. I think they said it was something to do with like polls they've taken in Japan. That I guess the Japanese fans aren't as the ones who collect those figures aren't into the old school stuff. But I feel like most Americans are, because I feel like a lot of Americans who were into Godzilla kind of grew up on those movies because it was harder to get the newer ones over here. So I think that might be what it is that a lot of maybe the Japanese fans who are probably around my age grew up on those the Heisei movies, but they weren't exactly easy to come by, at least for me when I was a kid, and it was much easier to see the older stuff. I think we are getting very close to done with this figure here. Where's A2? No, A7. Well, they are kind of concentrating on a lot of Millennium figures lately, it seems. If you look at the breakdown of what we've gotten, I think it does heavily favor 90s and later. Talking about the one from you talking about the one where he slides on his tail and hits Megalon? Because yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Backpack. And it's using B, which I don't think we've used pretty much at all. There it is. I don't think we've used it at all. All right. Definitely enjoyable to build these. It's, I don't know. I just am. It, I can't describe it very well. Building things makes my brain happy, I guess is the best way I can put that. Um, and I mean, that's kind of why I've really focused a lot lately on building, actual like BattleBot kind of things. But which makes this kind of feel really weird in that like I build robots that are functional, and then I'm enjoy sitting here building little model kits of robots. But yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, damn it. So I think it's off camera, but I have my table is made from an old door. So some of the things, if I drop them, they go into what used to be the like the latch and stuff on the door. So they just disappear into regions that are hard to find. All right. One 19. Oh, they're definitely not carpet friendly. I learned that the hard way. Especially because I have a corgi and he sheds like no other. So if I drop anything in the carpet, I will probably never be able to get all the fur off of it, no matter how hard I try. Fortunately, I don't have carpet in my house anymore, so that makes that part easy. A123. Going back to these hoses again, which kind of suck because they're rubber, so you can't really sand them if you want to. And they're just kind of, I don't know, like the consistency of a stale gummy worm. Oh, cool. So it sits in there and can actually slide back and forth in that piece. All right. Keep misplacing the things I'm working on. So I'm trying to think how I want to paint this thing up. I think since it is a really dark kit, I think I want to do a lot of kind of like scraped away metal sections where there's shiny metal shining through underneath. I think I might just do some kind of like dry brushing towards the edges of the kit. It'll probably be pretty quick and simple too, so I won't keep this live stream going for another 7 hours. Not that it's been going for 7 hours yet, but you know. So that goes like that. I don't think it's on Netflix. I know there's some series that are on Hulu. And then guessing maybe Crunchyroll probably has a series or two on it. I know there are series on YouTube, that probably shouldn't be on YouTube, but they are. All right, so we've got the little backpack put together. So it's time to start almost assembling this guy. There's one more part to cut out, I guess, for him. The one thing I think that's really weird about Gundam, and I think it's probably just, I think it's an anime thing, but I don't watch enough anime that's not Dragon Ball Z to know. But Gundam has like some series that are long and have like a billion episodes to them, and then there's other things that you can watch in an afternoon and see the whole series. I know. I watched War in the Pocket, which is one of the shorter series, is on YouTube. But I had to keep switching between subbed and dubbed episodes to watch the whole thing. Not that that's that big a deal, but I don't know. I'm not a sub person. I appreciate why people like watching it in the original language, but sometimes I just don't want to pay that much attention to reading while I'm watching a show. Do I have this on backwards or something? I don't think so. It's really not pegging in very well. It's so funny because YouTube is, I don't know, it's gotten so much stricter over the years, but if you go to the right place, it's still just completely the wild wild west out there. And it's weird that, like, they put copyright violations on the dumbest things, but then some people can get away with just hosting entire TV series on there with no problems. I had a video get pulled the other day because I used had the Pet Cemetery song on there, and they decided that that video needed to be removed from YouTube. Like, not just like, demonetized, but just gone. I mean, I'm not defending the fact that I should be allowed to use people's copyrighted material. I get that, but I don't know. All right. Let me fix his eye before I put his head on. And I didn't quite center it. I swear there's like a dead zone on the little gears that move the eye right in the center where it doesn't want to cooperate. is. Still gotta do the weapons and stuff, but he's basically assembled. I mean, they have a pretty good range of motion. The head, I guess, isn't going to do much, but I mean, you can get some side out of it. But I mean, the arms are fully ball jointed. And they go forward and back in their little slots to a pretty good degree. The shield moves. Get like upper bicep swivel. The elbow bends in way further than pretty much any other action figure I could think of. Decent range out of the ball joint in the wrist. His waist seems a little stuck. The way his backpack goes to his hips, I guess he's not going to get much waist articulation. But the legs can go pretty far forward, out to the sides. They could swivel, get a pretty good bend at the knee, and then a really good, like a dual ball joint there in the foot. So, you know, except for the waist and the head, I guess, this thing's pretty mobile. It's like a mobile suit. Yeah, that was horrible. So yeah, what I think I might do, because I'm kind of getting to the point where I need to wind this down. So I think instead of making the weapons for him right now, which is kind of tedious, I think I'm going to start doing some paint on him. Or some, well, I'm not going to do a lot of painting on it, but just a little bit. I'm gonna go get a paintbrush and I'll be right back. I think I never thought about this being my phone. Can I? Hey, I could zoom in. Wow. Only I would have found that out, like, or thought of that, like, 7 hours ago. Oh, hush. Just trying to be kind of random with the paint. Just trying to make it look like some of this metal is scuffed away. This is the Citadel paint. This is it's like Iron Breaker or something is the color. You know, oh, it's kind of steer clear of these more expensive paints because I never saw the value of them until my friend sent me like a sampler platter of them. And holy cow, they are worth the money. I think. Uh, I don't know. Just you get a lot of great color right out of the bottle, and a lot of the other paints I used over the years, you had to do a lot more work to them to get them to look good. And then just the consistency to it all that I think is really nice. This chrome is pretty solid. All right, Finland Trooper, thanks for joining me this morning. This live stream has gone from me sanding a bunch of stuff to now literally watching paint dry. Isn't this exciting? I feel like I should get back on my ranting about NECA because that was probably the most entertaining part of this whole thing. um, yeah, I'm just gonna do a little more on this guy, and then I'm probably gonna call it quits to the stream for now. Um, but hey, this actually did go better than I thought it would, despite me making fun of it. I kind of assumed maybe nobody would show up at all, so the fact that anybody did, it's yeah, it makes me happier than I thought I was gonna be. So thanks everybody. But I'm gonna try to have more regular content coming. Um, I mean, you guys who've been following this channel for a while know that's something I've kind of struggled with over the last few months and everything. But I don't know. This seemed like an easy way to get into doing some stuff. Do I watch MST3K? Not religiously. I haven't watched any of the new one. The old one I used to kind of watch when I knew the movie, so a lot of like the kaiju movies and stuff I'd watch. But how is the new MST3K? Because I don't know. I've heard decent things about it, but I don't even know what they've been reviewing. I know they've been doing the riff tracks for years now, kind of in the off time of the show. I don't know if it's how many of the same people are still even working on it, but I know some of the riff track stuff was supposed to be really darn good. I wanted to see the Mothra one. I think it was playing at a theater near me, and I don't remember. Either I forgot to go, or I was being stupid, or there's probably plenty of reasons why I didn't actually leave the house and go see it. But I did want to go see it. I know they've done Zilla as well. That's probably a little too heavy on that arm. Apparently, I'm not good at talking and painting at the same time. I mean, I was kind of bad at building a model kit and talking at the same time too. But I think that's the point, right? I mean, it's not like they have to redeem the movie. Have they ever done like a Troll 2 or anything like that? No, you're good. Don't worry about spamming the chat. It's not like it's not like you're competing with many people for my attention at the moment. Yeah, Troll 2 is one I'd like to see. I don't know. Skin to Deep is still my favorite bad, good movie. I don't think a lot of people know about it. It was a random find I got at a Blockbuster like years ago. Like they had it in a bin they were selling. I think it was made by Fangoria. Um, I still say that if I ever get to meet Warwick Davis at a con, that is the movie I'm getting signed by him, or I'm going to make a print from it and get it signed. Because that is some high quality crap in the best way possible. Um, I once subjected some friends to a double feature of that and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I don't think they ever forgave me for it. which I mean I would consider Killer Clowns from Outer Space an actually good movie, but I'm sure not most normal people probably wouldn't say that. But I gotta hear the Shoto brothers talk about making Killer Clowns last year at Dragon Con, and it was a phenomenal panel. Um, just I don't know the dedication they have to what they do is it's really phenomenal. I think that's why I miss a lot of the special effects like they were done, in the 80s and early 90s and stuff, the practicals. It's not so much that the computer effects don't look good. I mean, now they're starting to get to the point where they're phenomenal, but I don't feel like there's the same sense of pride or fame even for the people that create them. I mean, you can't, as far as I'm aware, nobody's gone into computer graphics for movies and become a name like Savini or Nicoretto or anything like that. Pacific Rim Uprising, I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do, but I think that's just because when I was watching, I was kind of like, well, yeah, of course I'm gonna like it. It has a lot of the elements that I like in crappy Japanese movies, but it doesn't have the fun. It just loses that sense of goofiness that I think is needed for a movie like that. And I feel like that's always been the downfall with American versions of Japanese stuff like that, is that you know they tend to over make it overly serious. And I think Del Toro knew where to draw the line on that. I think he knew that it couldn't be completely, goofy, and it couldn't be